Today I'm going to be talking about diving torches, and in particular the Apeks Lunar Mini. I've been diving with this torch now for 3 years pretty much, and done over 100 dives so far with it. I'm 73 years old now, and I only started diving 5 years ago, so I didn't really have a clue about what equipment I needed. I wasn't even sure that I needed a dive torch. I started off by looking at everybody else on the dive boat to see what they had and talking to them. I went onto YouTube and looked at all of the videos that were available, people doing reviews, but unfortunately most of the reviews really just rehashed what was on the manufacturer's website. The prices varied from anywhere from £25 from eBay to almost £200 like this Apeks. My first 30 dives were primarily in nice warm water, nice and bright, and not everybody had a dive torch. But when I eventually started diving in the UK, it was obvious in those murky waters that a dive torch was needed. On the Egyptian dive boat there were 24 different sets of kit, and every one of them was different. I'd already bought the Apeks by this time, and I was quite keen to see what else everybody else had got. Some used their torch a great deal, some didn't. But one thing was for sure is that there was no need for a really bright torch. The visibility underwater was exceptional. The light levels were very high, and there really was no need for a massive lamp to light your way. The exception, of course, was the night diving, where of course a torch was essential. The photographers had really bright lights, but most of us down there were quite happy with these little handheld devices. They gave out more than enough light, were absolutely perfect. But getting back to this little Apeks, it's light. It's very bright and it's reliable. I think above all else, reliability for me was the key. In over 100 dives, it hasn't let me down. It runs for at least an hour and a half on maximum strength or maximum beam. Most of the diving here in the UK, it's on maximum all the time. If I can, I turn it down to its medium setting just to try and conserve the battery a little bit. But I've never had to run it right the way down to the little flashing red lights. It does tell you when it's running low, but it doesn't dim, it just tells you when the battery's coming down. I did like the fact that it was a sealed torch. There are no twisty-turny bits to take off, there are no batteries to take out. The battery is inside, and it's charged by a USB cable. I'm a big fan of USB cables. It saves all the lugging about different plugs, different adapters, all these great things. Especially if you're on a dive boat, there's always somewhere you can plug your torch in. It is a specialist plug. There is only one that will fit it, so you make sure you don't lose it. But the USB is a standard. Because the torch is sealed, there's no way that water can get in. I was always worried that having a torch that you opened up might give it somewhere that leaks. Finding the button on the back, as I said, with a pair of thick neoprene gloves, initially caused me a little bit of a problem, but I soon found after a few dives that the feel of the torch, the feel of how it was, and where the little button was. Quite easy to push. It's one click turns it onto the main beam. Another click, it goes down to mid. Another click down to the sort of dimmest level, and with a little sequence of pushes it will go on to like a strobe effect. I've never used the strobe, but it is useful to have. I've seen other people use it more as a locator for other divers more than anything else. I turned the lights off so you could see it flashing away. The strobe effect underwater really is very effective. I think it's primarily designed if you're stuck on the surface and you don't want to leave your torch on all the time. You can turn it onto a strobe. So if you've ever been abandoned in the water there's a chance that the flashing light might attract some attention for you. But overall, very, very simple, very easy to use torch. Very bright as well. I feed my lanyard through one side and I hard clip my bolt snap to the other. There's a story about the bolt snap. After about 12 months I was handing my BC up to the boat and I saw my torch go flying past. I just managed to catch it, and the piece of cord that I'd used to attach the bolt snap had come undone. So from now on I use this keyring, stainless steel keyring, and I permanently attach my bolt snap. So when I do attach it to my BC, I know the torch isn't going anywhere. The lanyard I feed through the other side, quite simple, just stick it through. But again, another story here. The standard lanyard comes that you slip it over your wrist, and there's a little clip that runs up the lanyard and holds it on. Well, in one instance or one day it didn't, and the damn thing slipped off my wrist, and again I just caught it. So I now attach the lanyard to my wrist by using a little bit of thin bungee. This goes over my wrist, nice and simple, and the lanyard will not slip off my wrist with that. I usually stow my torch before I come up, before I send, and I just simply wrap it around the torch, use the bungee just to tie things on, and then the bolt snap, firmly attached to my torch, goes on my BC, and there it stays until I get to the surface or get back on the boat. Quite a few of my buddies have copied this idea, and it works for me. It works for me very well indeed. I feel very comfortable knowing it's not going to disappear. I must say though that there are some limitations. A little while ago I did a dive, and my buddy was on a rebreather and I had my twin 12s, so we had intended to stay down for over an hour. When we got to the bottom of the shot line though, the visibility was absolutely atrocious. There was one pair coming back up, they didn't even let go of the shot line. My buddy had a canister light, and when we set off along the wreck I was feeling my way along using my trusty little Apeks here to show me the way, but all it could do was pierce possibly a metre, if that, arm's length just. My buddy behind me, however, was flicking his light in my direction just to keep an eye on me so he could see where I was. He was able to pick up my white tanks fairly well from about 5 metres away. And when he did shine his light in my direction, he cast a shadow. He outshone my Apeks from a good 4, 5, 6 metres away. And I realised that here in the UK, with diving as it is, visibility as it is, my little Apeks, although it works well as a primary torch, it isn't. And I have to admit, I've gone to the dark side. I've bought a canister lamp, 4,000 lumens of power. The canister attaches to my tank. A cable attaches the lamp to the back of my wrist, and I can see a lot better than I can with my little Apeks. The last, I think, 4, 5, 6 dives I've done with almost zero visibility have been made an awful lot better by having a really powerful torch. The problem is the cost. They are expensive, and I think it depends on your diving, where you're going, whether you're chasing turtles around the place in the beautiful visibility, or whether you're on the side of a wreck crawling along the side in the murk. I think it's going to depend on the diving you do. If you're diving over a lovely coral reef, or if you're in the UK and you've got 5 or 6 metres vis, then the Apeks will do you just fine. If, however, you want to go a bit further, then you might want something more. My next little video is going to be about the Apeks reel. I've got a few stories to tell about diving, DSMB deployment and all those great things. So look out for that. But keep safe. Whatever you do, keep safe.